America Meditating Radio Show. We collect wisdom, inspire each other, and empower hearts on demand 24/7. Hi everyone, I'm Sister Jenna, host of the syndicated America Meditating Radio. We bridge divides, we seek deeper meaning, and we answer life's most compelling questions from experts around the world. Because in a world of uncertainty and division within and out, we will need answers right here, right now. Join me and guests on America Meditating Radio, a show for everyone to learn more about this amazing thing called life.
It won't happen to us because it's happening right now through us. Come on, sing with me. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti.
Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor?
Hi, neighbor.
Mr. Rogers passed along friendship, hoping we would too. Friendship, pass it on, from the Foundation for a Better Life at Values.com.
Well, it's all about friendship, isn't it? The way that you treat yourself and the way that you treat others can speak volumes, and not only in the story between us, but the way it shapes the whole world in the future. Hello, everyone. You are listening to America Meditating, perhaps one of our favorite radio shows on the East Coast, for all I know, on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Sister Jenna, and we are broadcasting live from the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Ashram in McLean, Virginia. That's true, McLean. See, he's clean. So he's called Mac, and that's why he's so powerful. We had a lovely program at the Meditation Museum in Silver Spring last night with one of our visiting yogis from the Caribbean, Sister Hamletta. And the topic was on what would love do. And we really went into this whole energy of love and how powerful it really is in terms of shaping our stories in life. Because yesterday was a day when I had one of those less than loving mornings with my staff, who I love dearly and who they love me dearly. But it was very interesting. It was just a matter of small things. And what was interesting was how I was able to observe my temperature internally boiling up, and I was smiling at myself as I was going through that process, and thought that to be quite funny to see me playing out my part even against my wish. So it was one of those very sacred moments, because after it was all done, all you had to do was laugh at yourself and smile at yourself and just say to yourself, aren't you just something interesting in the story? And I think this is what it's about. It's about taking that time to really look at yourself at a deep level and appreciate where you've come. Also be open to where you must go and how you qualify yourself to what that future destination is that's waiting for you. Many of us show up because we want to show up, and sometimes we're not aware of the qualifications required when we get there. For those of us who work really hard and we put in everything, heart, soul, time, wealth, everything that we've got. And even when we get to the destination, it doesn't define us, because the definition had everything to do to what we were doing on the journey towards there. And I have observed, for some who perhaps pull the Joker card or the bonus card, it's such a different way in which they handle getting to the destination. And for those who had, really put everything in, it wasn't really the destination. It was just the beauty of getting there that was so powerful. So I just wanted to throw that out to everyone this morning about valuing the beauty of the journey and to perhaps spiritually grow up where we are not just looking at the show, the destination, how it looks to everyone, but it's the beauty of how you are unfolding with your life in those sacred moments, those simple moments, those minute-by-minute moments where you're really just paying attention to the small things that speak volumes. So you are listening to America Meditating Radio Show, and we are going to get the RV today. That will be in the filming, and that will be quite an interesting journey because we're not sure who's going to drive it yet because it's such a huge machine. If you've been following our show, you know there are 3 filmmakers in from India who have come into the country to film television series on meditation and spirituality in the U.S., and it was to be called America Meditating, and it's now going to be called Soul Search, and they will be releasing their new movie at the Poconos Community Theater. So we're all going to go up there tomorrow and watch these 3 young men from the arid mountains of India release a movie that you would have thought some Hollywood great big shot would have done. And these young kids with heart accomplished something very special. So we're looking forward to that, and we're giving them a big thumbs up in advance. And we're going to put on our Sister Gita, and she's about to read one of her special readings.
Good morning and Om Shanti. And I'm taking this from the book entitled An Angel Whispered by Patricia Tashiro. And the heading is Have the Right Thoughts. So where is this treasure? Please give me the map. How can I find it and hold it in my lap? Keep peace in your mind, as I said at the start. When the mind is at peace, then love fills your heart. Peace makes you stable and love makes you secure. Then happiness is yours. This will surely occur. If you think the right way, then you'll feel the right way. When you learn to do this, it's the most wonderful day. The mind becomes quiet and all thinking ceases. Your heart feels love and heals the broken pieces. The incredible irony is, be free from all thought. You must begin by thinking rather than by not. When the soul is weak, negative thoughts are the norm. It is this way of thinking that causes mental storms. Beloved ones, if you want to be happy, you must strengthen the soul. You must think in a new way and let go of the old. Every time a negative thought comes into your mind, you must replace it with another, something that is kind. Make use of the wisdom you have just learned to make sense of situations and keep from getting burned. You have to use your mind in a beneficial manner and no longer entertain negative internal banter. I was quiet for a moment, digesting what she said, and then a negative thought came into my head. I wasn't quite sure if I should share what I'd thought. It may seem as if I hadn't learned what she had taught, but she had told me to ask. This was her suggestion. This was my chance. I had to ask every question. So I said, think positively is what I heard you say. Forgive me for saying so, but isn't that a cliche? Others say, think positively. This I do not doubt, but I give you something positive of which to think about. I have told you about God, that you are a soul. Everything will work out, and happiness is your goal. I have told you why things happen, that nothing is unfair. Now I'll tell you this, since you've asked me to share. Positive thoughts are good, but the right thoughts you need, thoughts based on wisdom, these thoughts are the seed. The fruit of these thoughts is love in the heart. Then happiness will come. So right thoughts are the start. Have a thoughtful day. Om Shanti.
That was beautiful. That was very beautiful. That was very beautiful. Thank you, Sister Gita. You know, this morning I woke up very sentimental and very thoughtful. It might have been from the talk I gave on What Would Love Do? And this is why it's so powerful to live the life with purpose and with meaning. So we're going to get Guy Finley on the air soon, and we're just going to pause for a little commercial break, and then we will have the fortune of listening to Guy Finley.
Write thank you notes. Tell the truth all the time.
These motivating thoughts from Randy Pausch's last lecture remind each of us to live our dreams.
Be creative every day.
Take a fun trip. Motivation. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Welcome back. We are listening to America Meditating, and I'm speaking to you from live headquarters here in McLean, Virginia. And we're going to have Guy Finley on. He's the founder and director of the nonprofit Life of Learning Foundation. Wonderful website, by the way. I had a chance to look at it. He's world-renowned School of Self-Realization. He's been helping individuals find a life of uncompromised freedom. Uncompromised freedom. And enjoying fulfillment for 30 years. He's the best-selling author of more than 40 books and unique audio albums, including The Seeker, The Search, The Sacred Journey to the Greatness Within, The Essential Laws of Fearlessness. As you can imagine, the list is endless. He regularly conducts workshops at the Omega Institute, Kripalu, and he's been seen on ABC, NBC, CBS, NPR, and he is now on the America Meditating radio show. And I know Antonia must be excited and gripped to her chair because all she's been talking about all week to everyone is her Guy Finley. Guy, are you on the air? Good morning.
I am here. Good morning.
You have such a fan in Washington, D.C. All she speaks about is Guy. She's buying all your books up, so...
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Not so much that she's buying the books, but anytime we can find a source of new knowledge and inspiration to encourage us to make the next step in our own development, that's a good thing.
It sure is. Now, it seems like you've been on an incredible journey, and you've had a successful career composing award-winning music for many popular artists, such as Diana Ross and the Jackson 5, which was back in my days.
Yeah, that was another life ago, Sister Jenna.
Yeah, how did that branch off? How did that branch off for you? What led you to pursue deeper self-study?
In truth, my own journey began around the age of 11. I had a few unusual experiences as a boy that were spiritually oriented, and it set the path for me. Music was just a way in which I think I got trained to be able to capture certain fleeting emotional insights and then begin to be able to, like saltwater taffy, stretch them out so that one could make sense of them and communicate them, because it's one thing to have a quiet mind and to understand something of grace, and then another thing to be able to help other individuals realize what is keeping them from the same. And I think that's just how it went for me. Raised in a successful show business family, but the life made no sense to me, even though at that stage, until I was 22 or 23, I followed it, and I did well. I was a successful composer and a recording artist. First white, soft rock artist for Motown Records in 1971. But like I say, that was a long time ago, and the theme, really, and it's what runs through all of my book, The Seeker, The Search, The Sacred, is all about the fact that since the beginning of time, people just like myself and the listeners, to whatever degree it's true, have felt an inconsolable dissatisfaction. It doesn't matter what we do, where we go, what we get, eventually that's not it. And when you become... Go ahead, Sister.
Where do you think that feeling comes from? Have you been able to observe that longing, that sense of it's not finished, there's something incomplete?
Yeah, absolutely. We are here on this planet to live out, if you will, our own individual story. We're born into a family. We have this culture, this religious background, this societal impression. But underneath all of that, there is a greater story. And as long as we understand that our individual story, our capacity to create is given to us for the purpose of eventually being in relationship with our Creator, then we can use everything that happens to us instead of fighting with it, because we want to be part of this other story when we finally realize we're not going to win the fight to prove that we're special or great or unique in the sense of the way the world would, that we seek it in the world. So it's a very simple thing, really. To be a happy human being, you must be I'll be careful with this, but to be happy, you must know something of holiness. There's no other way around it.
You know, there's something that you said about establishing a relationship with the Creator, and as you said it, just this thought emerged of last night's talk at the Meditation Museum, where the presenter, Sister Hamletta, says 90% of your communication is from just what you're carrying as your emotions and your feelings. And I don't know why, Guy, but I just connected that God taps into that 90%, and that's what He needs to work on to fix so we can start to feel complete, and that's not what we've been doing.
No, that's quite right. And of course, the thing is, and the crux of my own work over these 40 years now, is that we have the capacity to understand with our minds, which eventually leads to letting go, but this marvelous way in which the divine would have us learn not only the truth of ourselves, which allows us to let go and experience really a second birth, but to see through that process of revelation and the integration that follows, the hand of God in our life, so that we're not afraid anymore. It isn't just a metaphor, sister. And I'm sure you know this. The time comes when you realize, if you're present enough, that everything that happens to you is for the good of you. I don't care what it is, because everything introduces you to aspects of yourself that you don't know stand in the way between you and this divine communion, this peace that passes understanding.
I agree. In the whole practice of Raj Yoga meditation with the Brahma Kumaris, the notion of this supreme being this pure, consistent energy, a soul, but supreme, that when you, as a soul, remember the supreme, then there's a flow of this energy that, comes in and out of you, and He fixes you through that ebb and flow. But until you have that relationship, it's hard for you to connect to even flow. And one of the things that you have discussed, which I've been studying up on, is this whole thing on self-remembering, or remembering yourself.
Yes.
How do you define that? What does it mean in our layman's term out here? Remembering the self. Is it the job that I do? Is it where that I dress? Is it the person that I'm with?
No.
Yeah.
It's an understanding. In the New Testament, Christ spoke of the need for metanoia, a new mind, a new understanding in which we're turned in a new direction. And when we speak of this capacity to remember the truth of ourselves, it means that it isn't an affirmation, and it isn't even something that one is to feel good about. It means that we recognize that in every moment of our life, the relationship that we are in the moment, is intended to act as a form of revelation, so that in essence, each moment, awakens in me aspects, parts of my character that ordinarily I'm asleep to, spiritually speaking, psychologically. So I look out in a night sky, I'm moved into this sense of timelessness, because I am reflecting inwardly that which is outward. The timelessness of the creation stirs in me the timeless nature of the Father. Yeah. Now that revelation, we love the idea of being drawn to something because it stirs in us beautiful quality or character, but the same exact thing holds true with all relationship. So that if I'm in the presence of somebody that makes me angry, if I'm caught up, afraid of something or anxious because things aren't going the way I want to, that moment is introducing me to parts of my own nature that ordinarily I am asleep to. And so in that revelation, if I will stay in the presence of that revelation and remember myself, meaning not allow thoughts and feelings to justify or carry me off into some explanation for why I'm negative, that revelation produces an integration, because the awareness of this presence touches this unconscious nature, and it begins to act upon it in the only way they can authentically heal it, which is through integration.
Yeah. You might want to use this one in your next book. It's an acronym that I've used for years, and sometimes my friends say, don't you have any other new materials? But I use it religiously because I think it's such a profound part of the story. Algae, one of the key reasons that the soul does not act out its divinity is because of this algae. A for anger, L for lust, G for greed, A for attachment, and E for ego. And because that consciousness has now been mixed in the pure consciousness of my pure identity of who I am, it's so difficult to remember God. It's so difficult to remember the divinity and the worthiness of the soul. So then the algae just acts more than the original value of the soul.
Yeah, it's true. We are asleep, and one of the most important things that can happen is to begin understanding. I think it's, in one respect, pretty clear that we need to be honest about our lives. And I mean, it's simple, isn't it? Really, in one respect, how many times do you run the same race, cross the finish line, and expect to be able to have won some rest or peace for yourself, only to find out that the starting gun goes off and you've got to run again? And then out of that unceasing interior movement of the mind, just chasing basically what it can never possess. In fact, this is one of the things that I talk about in Scripture. It says that you cannot serve two masters, for you will love one and despise the other. The two masters is not two separate masters. It's desire, because whatever you want in life comes with what you don't want. Whatever you love will come with what you fear. They're inseparable. And as we can awaken to realize, it doesn't mean that you don't have desire. It means that when you have a desire, when one of these states of algae appear because your desire is thwarted, you're to understand that this desire that sets you into some kind of identification with the thing imagined, it isn't you. It's just a lower part of this nature that we can use instead of letting it use us if we're present enough to understand it as it's unfolding. Then letting go is natural.
Well, you know, it's the times in which you're bumping into so many folks that are familiar or they're similar to you, which means you've been given permission to act out in your algae, not in your divinity. And this is where I think individuals like yourself and many others that I've met throughout my lifetime, when they take that step to rise up from the algae, to move into the divine, to have an intimate, private relationship with the divine so that they can remember who they are. Those are my heroes. I tell you, they're my heroes. And now you had said once that every tradition speaks of the same longing, the same search for enlightenment, and the same ultimate union with the divine. Then why are there so many religions and so many paths that people pursue?
Our minds, our sleeping minds are not very, very facile, not very subtle. It's difficult for us to grasp that in every age, into every one of these cultures, East and West, there have come individuals who have been illumined. But what happens, God help us, is that other men and women then take the illumination that an individual, that some being has brought, and then turn it into something that everybody can get their hands on. God, you know, you don't get your hands on the divine. The divine touches you when you finally, put your hands in your pocket and realize I need something to help me understand myself. My pain in life is because all I've done is talk to myself about myself. And one day you realize that these men and women, East and West, realized what they did because they finally stopped answering their own questions.
Yeah, Totally confirm that with you. Totally.
And that's the beauty of to me, of this life that we have, is we can, if the hunger is enough, meaning also if there's enough pain, that we can start to recognize that since the beginning of time, there has always been, and this is right to the heart of my new book, there really is only one seeker, only one search, and one sacred. And that story is in my heart, in your heart. It is the crux of the individual soul and the collective, that we are meant to realize that this world is a beautiful world, but it is a reflection of something more pure, more beautiful, more still, that lives within us. And the search is this gradual recognition of what doesn't work. It really is a path of negation, to find out that at the end, what we were looking for already lives within us. The sacred is already within. There isn't any scripture that contests that within us lives a nature that is transcendent, that is timeless, and that is the essence of love.
I agree. Move the algae out, let the love in. Now I know you're doing so many good things, and I wish I could talk to you for so much longer, but we will get you back on the air again. Could you let us know about your One Journey project and share with us some final words and how our listeners can find out more about Guy Finley?
My foundation, Life of Learning, which, by the way, if you go to Guy Finley, Guyfinley, guyfinley.org, you can spend years going through the free resources at that website. But we have sponsored a global outreach program called One Journey. And at onejourney.net, ONEJOURNEY, the words onejourney.net, we created an award-winning video, 3.5 minutes, that I urge everyone to watch and to share with everyone they know. And you can spend time on this website. You can download a free copy of an abridged version of the book, and you can make your own book from these beautiful quotes throughout all of time. Right there on onejourney.net. It's a site intended to help us understand that we are all united inwardly in the one person, in the one place that matters, which is this divine. And it transcends the borders. It transcends the religious, the icons, and allows us to understand the nature of this seeker, this search, and this sacred. onejourney.net.
Beautiful, Guy. Thank you so much for your sharing today. And if you're ever in the nation's capital, could you promise you'll come by and see us?
I do give you that promise. It would be a pleasure to spend a few moments with you.
Lovely. Thanks again.
Be well.
So that was Guy Finley, and definitely a sacred heart and a very special heart on our planet. And I'd like to dedicate this song to Guy. It's one of our new additions from Bliss and one of our inspiration ones, which I have not played on the air since we have been broadcasting. So this is especially for you, Guy. Keep up the good work and keep lifting spirits.